Greetings and happy Friday to all my friends who live in the little black box on my desk. Um, Things are going pretty well today. Um, Got up after about 10, 12 hours of sleep. Got dressed. Got some good news from the scale. My weight went back down to about 366 and a half. My blood sugar numbers were normal all day, and the blood pressure went down to a decent level, so that was good. Um, I took the last of the Levaquin today, and I guess we'll see over the next few days whether I'm actually all healed up or whether there's still some vile bacteria lurking in my legs, waiting to pounce upon me when I least expect it. And if that happens, well, I guess we'll hit the urgent care and probably get some more antibiotics. I'm pretty confident though that I'm pretty much back to normal. The leg wounds are continuing not to leak, which is good. Um, but the weight loss, man, the weight loss is kind of uh, kind of caused some amusing things to happen. Last night, as I was falling asleep, I was thinking, don't I have another belt around that's smaller than this one I just got from the Amish that's too big for me thanks to losing 20 pounds in the hospital? And when I got up this morning, I went looking for that belt. The good news is I did, in fact, have the belt. The bad news is it wasn't actually any smaller or tighter than the Amish belt, which I found out the hard way when I went over to Rayleigh's to do a little shopping for eggs and cheese and stuff like that. Um, my mom used to tell me stories about Cantinflas, the legendary Mexican actor whose shtick was having his pants fall down at inopportune moments. And I kind of felt like Cantinflas today because as I made my way out of the car and into the Rayleighs, I had to use one hand to hold up my pants because otherwise they would have gone right down to my ankles. And since it was only slightly above freezing today, that would have been very bad. Um, as it was, I made my clumsy way through the store getting my stuff, and I had a brain flash part way through where I took all the heavy stuff like my knife, my phone, my wallet out of my pants and stuck them in my denim jacket, and that helped some. Um, but anyway, spent about $34 on groceries. I'm trying to get stocked up on soup again, which since they have a sale on Progresso is going pretty well. I've got probably about $20, $30 in various accounts between now and next Friday when all kinds of money like my VA disability, my Amazon payments, and stuff like that ought to be showing up. Also, next week, I should get the rest of my 1099s from unemployment and my W-2 from H&R Block. I've already got my stuff from Amazon, the VA health coverage, the Social Security, stuff like that I've already got. But I want to wait until I get the rest of the paperwork before I start doing my own return because the last thing I want is to have the return hanging around in the work in progress files, aggravating my manager and her manager, and just generally looking bad for the office. Yeah. Aside from that, I did the daily link dump for the other McCain. Lost 2 out of 3 games to Oakland and to Tech Guys 69 draft league. And two of them were kind of close, um, but I just couldn't get the hitters to hit and the pitchers to pitch at the right times. But they're a better team than I am. They got Reggie Jackson, where I have Frank Howard. They've got a really good quality outfield, and as usually happens to me, some of their low average hitters got hits at unfortunate times, but that's the way it goes. Um, Something else that was popped into my mind that I thought I'd share with you. I just finished rereading Robert Heinlein's Glory Road, which is it's a science fiction novel that looks like a fantasy at first. Our hero, Easy Gordon, is a fellow who winds up serving in Vietnam during the very early stages of the war, when it wasn't being called a war, and the troops we sent over there as military advisors were not considered veterans after they came back and got out. Well, to make a long story short, first part of the novel is pretty cool. Um, Gordon is lounging on the beach in France, making his small stash of cash last as long as possible, and he begins seeing ads in the paper which seem to be targeted at him, called "Are You a Coward?" And he finally goes to the address in the ad and winds up being hired as a hero. He's very badly needed to recover an object of some value. His employer is this smoking hot blonde babe, and they go through various adventures on their way to get this thing called the Egg of the Phoenix, and that part of it is pretty good. There's some annoying commentary by our hero about the relative moral standards of Europe and the U.S. and these foreign places he's going through, which quite clearly aren't on Earth, and that's all well and good. I mean, it's something that crops up occasionally in Heinlein, and you can either deal with it or not. Um, but the second part of the novel is the sad and depressing part that reminded me why I hadn't read the book in literally decades. And it's best summed up by the Eagles song, "After the Thrill Is Gone." Um, his employer turns out to be the Empress of the 10,000 Worlds or something like that. And the Egg of the Phoenix is actually a repository of the memories of all of her predecessors, all 200 plus of them. And as she goes through the process of absorbing these memories, Gordon finds himself at very loose ends and he's not quite sure what to do with himself. And where the song comes in is all the fun that he had uh, came from the adventure, and now the adventure's over. And what is he really supposed to do with himself? I mean, if you're the consort of the Empress of the 10,000 Worlds, here on Earth that would imply a number of responsibilities, but in this situation, he doesn't have those responsibilities. And it starts grinding on him because he's got the all American work ethic, and there's really nothing for him to do as a semi-retired hero. So it takes a turn for the better, I guess, towards the end when he finally decides I got to go out and do some heroic stuff because I'm dying of boredom here, and sooner or later I'm going to do something I'm going to hate myself for, or my wife is going to do something she's going to hate herself for, and either way it's not going to turn out well. But yeah, it's not as depressing and dystopic as some of his later books, but I think after this book, which was published in '63, probably the only really good book of his, in my opinion, is The Moon is a Harsh Mistress, which doesn't exactly have a happy ending either, but um, at least Manuel O'Kelly does great things and has a family life and has some expectations of doing even better in the future. So anyway, that's my opinion of Glory Road, um, and that's about all I really got to say. I'm going to start clocking in and doing H&R Block stuff tomorrow because I finished the training today. It took me all of 20 minutes, which was a little disappointing. But then I've been through all this work from home stuff before, fairly familiar with the software and how it works. So I figure, I'm probably going to need a couple of days of working with the system to knock the dust off, and then things ought to be okay. Might do this again this weekend, might not. We'll see how I'm feeling about it. And until I see you again, thanks for watching.